Hey there, and welcome to Old Roommates. Today on the show, we revisit that 1980s sitcom, Too Close for Comfort. So grab your cosmic cow hand puppet and join us.
Welcome, everyone, to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. This is Christina.
This is Brian.
And we are talking about 1980s Too Close for Comfort, starring Ted Danson. Ted Danson. Oh, my God. Rewind.
We were doing so well.
Ted Knight. Nancy Dussault.
Dussault, yeah, I don't know,
Dussault.
She's 80. I think she's 81 right now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Deborah Van Valkenburg.
Okay.
Did I say it right? And Lydia Cornell.
And
Jim
J.
Bullock. Who, well, we're talking about seasons. We're grabbing a couple of episodes, 5 episodes from season 1 and 5 episodes from season 2. And Jim J. Bullock he wasn't even introduced until episode 4.
Right.
And he wasn't actually a cast member until season 2.
That's correct. Just a little bit of context. Debuted November 11th, 1980.
Yeah.
That is important because of a couple notes I have later on.
Okay.
And the final episode aired February 7th, 1987.
Interesting.
In fact, many would argue that it only stopped because of the passing of Ted Knight in August of 86.
No, but they had a reworking of it. But in those later seasons, they renamed it the Ted Knight Show. Yes.
So there was they've done 107 episodes. It was a number 6 rated show on ABC, like a big hit. It was such a big hit that ABC felt it was strong enough to sustain a kickoff on Thursdays. They moved it to Thursday night. Mm-hmm. The ratings plummeted to number 38, which it doesn't sound that bad, but when you imagine there's really only 4 networks back then.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Well, so it was like they had it, was it before or after, like, Joni Loves Chachi?
Right.
What were they thinking?
Well, because it was a number 6 show, and they thought everyone would follow it, and people didn't, unfortunately. But
it was risky. It was a risky move because even at that point in time, the storylines, like the kids had moved out. It wasn't necessarily.
You're right. There was a huge reworking, and what happened was they canceled it. I mean, ABC, what jerks! It's like you move the show and then you cancel it. So. Instead of just moving it back. I don't ever understand why networks don't do that.
Because they don't want to admit they were wrong.
That's right. You're right, Christina, you're right.
That's exactly it.
And so they canceled it. And then there was a groundswell of support from people saying, you canceled my favorite show. And there was so much interest in the show, they went into syndication, and it became a very successful show for many seasons after that. Yeah. So, but yes, you're right. They retooled it for the second to last season because they had to move out of the house, like 10 miles up the road or something. And they retooled some things. Pat Carroll joined the cast. The son was played by a different, new, oldish actor. And
the adult girls, like at least I think Jackie moved to Italy or something.
That's right, to be a fashion designer.
Her.
Yeah, she moved to Milan. I don't know about Sarah. And but yeah, so that's.
It was just very retooled. But anyway,
but it was interesting, because I didn't know. Like when you're young, I mean, in 1980, I'm 8 years old, so it's like. You're not really following even, I mean, as much as I was obsessed with pop culture even then, I wasn't really following, the shifting and the characters.
Right, and I was like 12 or 13, so it was just like...
So, but you're right, it was a big risk. They shook up the show a lot, which I would argue, and we'll get into this, that it started early on with them shaking up the show, but we'll get to that. So back then... Christina, what did you remember? What do you recall about watching Too Close for Comfort back in the 80s?
I enjoyed Too Close for Comfort. I remember really liking the show. It wasn't one of my all-time favorites, but I believe when I watched it, I think it was right after Three's Company. I think it was like Laverne and Shirley, Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, or maybe Mork and Mindy was in there somewhere. Happy Days might have been gone by then. I don't know. At one point. But I believe it followed Three's Company. I'm pretty sure. And it was like just that lineup, and it was very comforting.
Okay.
You get that? Okay, good. I was waiting for you to get that. And I enjoyed it. I've always been a huge fan of Ted Knight.
Oh my God, I know.
He's one of those actors that just could do no wrong in my eyes. I just thought he was great. And I just, again, it wasn't one of those shows that I loved, but I really liked it a lot, and I watched it every week. So, yeah. And then that was kind of where I was at. I enjoyed it. And what about you, Brian?
Yeah, so again,
a little late for someone at 8 years old.
A little late? It was on TV a little late?
Yeah. It was probably like 9:30.
Really? I remember it. I remember it.
Well.
I remember it.
I'll have to talk to Dee about this.
But I think, that was my thing, though. I feel like, my mom, if I was like, can I watch Too Close for Comfort, she probably would have said yes.
It was harmless. It was a harmless show. If you're watching Three's Company, you can watch Too Close for Comfort.
But here's why. I think why it was probably seemed more fun to me, or like joyous, is because of Cosmic Cow.
Right, because of the puppet.
I remember that puppet. The puppet's in the... By the way, watching this, that his intro with the puppet kissing him on the cheek never changes. All the other ones do.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
That?
Yeah.
But I remember the Cosmic Cow just being like a funny thing, even though there was nothing to it. It was just what he did for work. But there was just a lot of like activity, and the characters were theatrical, and like it was enough to keep my attention. But I do remember jumping a little bit to Monroe, and
sure,
not even jumping. He was 4th episode in, but like, and being like, something's a little like off and a little uncomfortable about Monroe. But I do remember him being like very, very. But I remember being like very.
Did you like
funny.
him? Yeah.
I think I was scared in the beginning, to be honest.
Okay.
I think he was a little too weird, a little goofy and awkward. But then he became, of course, like one of my favorite characters.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
Absolutely. But yeah, again, not one of my favorite shows, but very as part of the night. Like, oh yeah, definitely fun.
And Ted
Knight is just so entertaining, and the physical comedy of like falling off the sofa. I remembered that. I remembered all of that.
And it was overused, but funny every time.
Every time.
It was fun because he made it so real every time. Even the other chair that they had the couch. Obviously, that's the opening scene, and he goes flipping over back. But then there's another little chair off to the side.
Yes,
and even when he sits in there, he's like, and he falls right up. Like he's so natural at this physical comedy.
Yeah,
it's
and he makes it playful.
Funny.
It's funny and playful and. But we should. Do you want to jump into now?
Sure. Yeah. Let's
go for it.
So now, I was looking forward to seeing this revisit because it felt like home. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, I want to see this show again. I was a little bit nervous that I wasn't going to like Monroe because I did back then really like him, and I was like, oh, he's going to be annoying to me, and I'm not going to like him. He's not going to seem realistic. But I have to say, I enjoyed. So I kind of had almost like an opposite reaction. I didn't find the show to be as entertaining as it used to be for me, but I found Monroe really entertaining. Like some of the things that I didn't expect, like some of the positives of the show in general, obviously Ted Knight for sure. And I liked Nancy as well. I thought they had great chemistry together. I thought they did really well together. I really liked...
I just want to set the scene. I'm smiling and completely nodding.
Smiling and nodding.
Saying, yes.
Just a nice, real kind of conversations and things like that. Jackie, I really liked. Actually, I liked her.
Jackie is the black hair.
Jackie, yes. I thought she was very good. I thought she was a natural actor as well. And Jim J. Bullock I really liked. Sarah, I could not stand. She has got to be, and I'm sorry if you're listening, she's got to be one of the worst actresses I've ever seen on TV.
Lydia Cornell is her name.
Sorry, Lydia. I think she is probably one of the worst actresses I've ever seen in a sitcom. Or maybe even a movie, too.
Wow.
Yeah. And it irked me so much that it made it painful for me to watch some of these episodes at times.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it had like a...
Christina, I have never heard you say these
visceral...
words.
reaction to this actress.
What about it? Like, do you have any specific examples?
Every time she spoke is an example. It just didn't seem like a realistic character. Like, I felt like, and I think it was in contrast to everybody else. So everybody else seemed like a real person. She did not. She was too dumb, and she was too flighty, and her voice really irked me. You?
Wow. So,
yes. And I know, I apologize to Lydia.
No, you didn't tackle. No, my point was like just your Lydia Cornell attack.
I said I apologize to Lydia. That's what I just said.
Oh, I thought you said I apologize for talking so long.
Well,
I guess I was projecting. So I will say this. So I have. You're gonna kill me.
Oh God.
What does my last sentence in that page
I'll
say?
Try. Lydia Cornell is really funny.
Okay, so
wow.
There is something. Okay, so I have so much to say about the show, but here I go. So I give the show a lot of credit for. I don't. So here's the thing. I was fine. I was fine with this. I didn't like it more. I think it didn't quite grab me as much as I did when I was younger.
Right.
Because I've seen so much now. And not even because I'm older. It's like because I've just seen a lot of TV. And what you realize is like, oh, it's like Three's Company if the Ropers were the parents and Jack was dumber and he's Monroe. Right? I mean, like, it's the same building, they're, whatever. Oh, and the Ropers loved each other. Because what...
Right.
So here's interesting. So I have a general note. And by the way, after I watched this, I went back and read synopses of the episodes. Because what I found really fascinating about the show is they relied so hard on guests. Did you know that every single episode, Christina, there's like a spotlight, not a famous guest cast member. I mean, just a new cast member.
Sure.
Episode 4, they bring in Monroe. They're right at the bat. The main plot of episode 1 is about Rafkin, the old tenant who died.
Yeah.
And he's not in it. However, but the whole thing is about him. You don't really learn a whole lot about the other characters. And my argument with this show, as much as it was pleasant, is that I think the characters were too similar. Mm-hmm. And I think, because as much as I can say, like, oh, wow, isn't it great that Henry and Muriel have such a loving marriage? For the construct of a sitcom, it kind of made them a little boring. Yeah. Because they felt the same way. And this happens in marriage, by the way. Carl and I, we tend to feel the same way about things because we know each other. Right. And all that sort of like drama and conflict isn't really there. We don't fight, if at all. So it's like, because we get it. And like we've been through a lot of stuff and we know how we're going to react. For a while I'm not going to do something that I know will upset him. He's not going to piss me off. Like, we know each other. Right. And I would think it's safe to say with you and Matt. I mean, absolutely. Like, and I'm not to say like, we're so boring. We're not, but for a sitcom,
right? We're not putting a TV camera in your.
That's right. House. Although they could, I'm totally open to a reality show. But no, but it's like the. But I think for the context of a sitcom, it's a bit dull. Yes, and I think that's why you get Jim J. Bullock on episode 4 joining the cast later on. Audrey Meadows is the mother-in-law. April, season 2, the niece that's visiting. But even in season 1, and we're sticking with season 1. Every single episode, there is a new cast member introduced or a new role introduced. The manager at the bank. Yeah. There's Mr. Wainwright. Yeah. Barry Wolf is the bank guy. Every single effing episode, it's about the new person in the mix. Yeah. And I think that, to me, speaks to kind of bad writing, or at least bad character development, because all the characters feel the same way.
I agree with you. That's one of my bigger notes is I felt that the cast was too small. Mm-hmm. And it's very similar to what you're saying. Yeah. They're very, kind of alike, and it's just a very small cast. If you think about more successful sitcoms more, recently, or even just like in the 90s and 2000s or whatever, something like Parks and Rec, or 30
Right,
Rock
yeah.
or The Office or things like that, right? Like some of these more popular, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, things like that, right? Mm-hmm. There's a pretty good-sized cast. Mm-hmm. And what's nice about that is when you're telling a story in 30 minutes, mm-hmm. okay, with a bigger cast, you can actually have several stories going on. Usually, and I think it's pretty much like this in all of those examples I just named, you usually have 3 separate storylines going on. And you have 2, you know this, like, different groups of people. Yeah. And you go back and forth, and it makes it interesting. And you're invested, even if you're not invested in all 3 of the storylines, you have at least one that's piquing your attention. And it keeps the storyline going. And you don't necessarily need to add new things to it because you're developing the characters and the relationships between mm-hmm. the 2 of them. Whereas Too Close for Comfort is very linear in that. Like, you just have that family unit and you're talking about situations that's happening outside the family unit. Mm-hmm. So that's, I think, where the storytelling is. You're telling stories outside the family unit. They're assuming we already know who these people are. And
I think we do. Because they're very ordinary.
Very ordinary. Yeah. So I think that's part of why they always need to add someone new to the mix, because there's not a lot going on
and again, I'm agreeing. Like, it's the main Henry and Muriel, they are very similar. Like, they have very similar belief systems, which happens in marriages.
Which makes, so they're thinking about it in a more realistic way, but not a sitcom-y way.
Right. It's just not funny. It's not particularly funny. So you need that, like, exaggerated personality that enters the mix. And I got a little tired of that, though. Because I was like, everyone knows my favorite TV show of all time is The Golden Girls. Mm-hmm. And that's a very small cast, 4 people. But they're all so different. Yes. And they don't need a new guest star every single episode to walk into the house.
Right.
They can entertain themselves.
That's
Many
true.
episodes just take place in the house with them sitting around the table or something. Someone's about to go on a date or something, and that's the story. Right. So they can sustain themselves just on those characters. And I think Too Close for Comfort, I think it suffers from having characters that are just not super interesting to begin with.
Right.
I think that's why in season 1 I did like Lydia Cornell as Sarah, mm-hmm. because she was, like you said, dumb and blonde and like that, like, and like sort of like the sex pot, but she doesn't know she's a sex pot, Yeah,
I felt it was like a poor impression of Susan Summers. I really did. I felt like,
but I felt Jackie was Janet.
I didn't really. I mean, I could see it now.
Yeah.
But so I don't feel like Janet or Jackie are like caricatures.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like Chrissy and Sarah are.
Yeah.
So when you're not doing it well, mm-hmm. it's more obvious.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think she was like Emmy worthy, but I was entertained in season 1. So I completely lost my track because I went to compliment.
So
no. I did this myself. I was just to compliment Too Close for Comfort because there are many topics in here that are like 1980. They're talking about a transvestite, Rafkin. That's their word. Transvestite dresses up in women's clothes, blah, blah, blah. And it's never a joke about Rafkin.
No, it's not. I was so happy to hear that.
In fact, it's often very positive. The girl's response, he was a transvestite? How cool. Yes. Later, when the girls move in, there's a wild party. And the parents, Henry and Muriel, Ted Knight and Nancy, are sitting there. And Ted Knight gets really mad because these random people walk in their bedroom dressed in, like, leather.
Oh, right.
And he's like, Rafkin would never do these things. He was a lady.
Yeah.
And then another episode, I forget which episode it is, there's another, someone makes a comment about, all these wild parties. And she's like, oh, God, with Rafkin, all he had were Tupperware parties.
Yeah.
But it was said very earnestly.
It was.
It was said with a lot of respect.
There was never making fun.
Cheap shots.
There was no cheap shots.
No.
In fact, there's an episode where, is it second season or first season, when
the guy
comes,
homeless, the
homeless guy. I think that's second season. And so I'm just going to say it because we're in this conversation.
Yeah.
But what was great was, so he shows up and he's like this homeless man. He shows up, and he usually has Thanksgiving dinner with Rafkin, and didn't realize that he had passed away. And so the whole time, they realized that he didn't know that he was a transvestite.
Yeah.
Their words, not mine. And so it's kind of a build-up, like, oh, we should tell him. We really should tell him. We should really, really tell him. And at the very end, they tell him. And we were expecting like this big response, and his response was like, "Oh, that's it? I thought you were going to say he wasn't Jewish." And it was just like that to me was like I really loved that message, especially for 1980. Like
1980,
that's phenomenal.
And the reason why the word transvestite keeps saying it's not our word, like because Rafkin lived duality.
Yes,
they often saw him not dressed up as a woman,
right.
So like it was just like. Sometimes he wanted to do that, sometimes he didn't. And, okay, so really quick, episode 1, when Henry's showing the apartment to the massage therapist.
Yes.
And he sits on the sofa, and he not only falls backwards, his foot kicks. Christina, I guffawed. I, laughed so out loud. By the way, we should say, you can watch this on Pluto, which is an app.
Yes.
It's a free app. So, Pluto, all the seasons are on there.
Yes.
Pluto.
Yes, it's great.
But he kicks that light, and the noise it makes, him falling completely backwards.
Oh, my God.
I laughed out
Again,
loud.
he's
the physical comedy is so
such
funny.
a king, the king of physical comedy.
Mm-hmm.
In so many different ways. Even like that first scene when the alarm clock is going off. And I think that in another sitcom, it might be like overdone and just be like, oh my God, enough about this.
It was
but
funny
he
every time.
makes
it was funny every time.
He makes it funny.
Yeah.
The alarm clock will not shut off, no
Yeah.
matter what he does. He's trying to, he throws it in the trash. He did it. All these things are happening, and like, he finally throws it out the window.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I just feel like another sitcom, it would have been stupid, but he actually made it really funny. Like, you could see his frustration. You know, it was good.
I did think it was a weird way to start an entire series with like an alarm clock gag, but it was cute. The how about the remote control joke, which is a penis joke. Basically, they're in bed, so he gets up to do something, and later on they're in bed, and the remote control is under the sheets. And he's like, oh. and Nancy, and he is like, oh, I thought it was you. And Nancy takes out the remote. She goes, I thought it was you.
Yeah.
And the audience,
whoa.
1980, and the audience busts out laughing.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah. That was really good. One other noteworthy thing. I mean, this obviously is just the setup. Mm-hmm. The tenant dies. They see that they're crowded, and they decide to have the girls move in downstairs. But two things of note was he actually says to her, this may come as a shock to you, but I don't want any more kids. Which I thought was kind of interesting, knowing that at the end of season 1, the beginning of season 2, she realizes she's pregnant. And then the other one, what did I have here? Oh, you find out he's 51 years old.
I made a note about that. So,
that's 2 years younger than me, Brian.
No, I know.
Isn't that... So this is...
No, I know.
Go.
Really quick. He's 57 at this point.
Okay.
And Muriel, or Nancy, they said she's 42. She's actually 41 at the time of that dialogue, which I think was weird.
Ooh.
They made her older.
Why would they do that?
And Henry is 52, so he's 10 years older than Muriel, but he's actually 57 in real life.
Interesting. Yeah, and he says 51 in the first episode. Second season, he's 52, yes. Yeah. But I think that speaks to a middle-aged lens.
Completely.
Because
it's used...
You're 2 years younger than me, and you said it was some other movie, you're like, do you think he looks 47?
I say that every other movie.
Yeah, it's like...
Danny
really?
Danny
Because people look so freaking old.
Oh my God, Christina, Danny Aiello in Moonstruck. This is 45. Do I look?
No, exactly.
Danny Aiello in Moonstruck.
I hope
maybe I do. Maybe we're just fooling ourselves.
I don't think so. I think it's different. I really do. I mean, people, please, you gotta. 51 looks very different today than it did in the 80s. It really has to.
Oh my God,
it's hilarious.
But what I loved about all that kind of age dialogue is because they're like. It's always in the guise of like, I'm too old for this. It's always in
I'm going to get fired because I'm too old. Oh my God, I'm too old. Like,
Jesus.
Oh my gosh. What was the life expectancy in the 80s?
Oh my God. Such good points.
Do you have any other notes on the first?
Not
we can move on to the second episode if you want to.
Which is a big one.
That is the introduction of Monroe.
Yep.
It's, they're having an anniversary dinner. And I don't have a ton of notes aside from, it says, I have to read this. Okay. Here's something for you. Okay, so Sarah, she's not all bad. I did have a funny line that I wrote down. It's like one of the only lines I wrote.
Good.
So there you go. She did write, she said to Jackie, because what was it? Is this the one in the bank with the teller job?
That's the next one.
That's the next one.
Episode 7.
I know. I know what it was. Okay, so Sarah brings home Monroe because she feels bad for him.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And then she tells him, so then she's like, I don't know how to tell him to go away. And so Jackie's like, I'll take care of it. And so Jackie says basically something and makes Monroe go away. And then Sarah says... I've always been better at getting men, and you've always been better at getting rid of them. So I thought that was kind of funny. There we go.
Yes.
So not all bad.
Monroe is introduced as an emasculated mess. I do want to show you a note, because it's funny. I forgot I actually wrote it. I said I remembered Monroe being much more annoying. And you said that earlier.
Yeah.
I also didn't remember Monroe being completely straight. And he is straight.
He's 100% straight.
I didn't remember that. I always thought he was just weird.
Is he gay in real life?
Yes.
So there you go.
Yes.
That's probably what it is. No, I'm just saying maybe that's what you remember, just the actor being gay.
True. And and I wrote he has George Michael hair. I didn't remember him he actually looked more handsome than I remembered.
He was cute and charming.
Yep.
I thought he was lovable. He was funny.
And you know they were going for a Jack Trippery, clumsy.
Not only that, did you have any other vibes from him? Because there's a certain vibe that I got from him. And it was mostly, his hair for sure, but also the way he was dressed.
Oh, God.
And it was around that same time frame. It stood out to me, right away. And I was like, oh, my gosh.
I don't know.
Robin Williams as Mork.
Oh my God, totally. Yeah.
He had the vest with the short sleeve shirt and the same pants. I mean, again, it's an 80s fashion.
Right.
But he wore it just like Robin Williams did as Mork. Not necessarily Robin Williams, but as Mork. And he had the same hair. Mm-hmm. And he had the same sort of charm. Yeah. But I never really correlated the two of them together before.
Never.
Which is kind of interesting.
Really funny part about episode 4. So, I need to read this really. It says, street singing and playing music too loudly. So, in front of the hospital. So, I guess they were street singing and playing music too loudly in front of the hospital. But Monroe says, well, the noise... He said, the singing was us, but the clanging was from the patients throwing bedpans at us.
I enjoyed his lines. And what I liked about it was they clearly wrote for him specifically.
Yeah.
And I really liked that they were unusual jokes. It was very rare that he said something that I expected.
Yeah, I agree.
It could have been very easily written that way. Mm-hmm. He always has sort of that same type of joke or that same type of thing. And I was pleasantly surprised most of the time when he spoke. I really looked forward to his scenes a lot.
I did as well. A lot of good lines. And another one, 2 winos having a belch off. Someone said that episode. I'm going to say, so, again, for 1980, there's jokes about remote controls as erect penises, people throwing bedpans at someone, two winos having a belch off. Like, I feel like it's on the edge. I mean, this is like, you know, if this is sandwiched between, like, Mork and Mindy and Joni Loves Chachi or something, like, it's, the humor is a little, and I think it's because it's San Francisco. Sure. Yeah, it's San Francisco. What I appreciate with the show, to give it some credit, is like it has a little bit of edge to it for being some of the storylines and stuff have an edge because I think part of it is because it's San Francisco. But I appreciate it any time it was like I was instantly reminded, like, oh wow, this is a little, that joke's a little bit ahead of itself. And to be honest, I don't have many more notes than that on episode 4.
I don't either.
So episode 7 is called Who's Afraid of Mr. Wolf? And I suggested this one because I read a synopsis and it was basically about sexual harassment.
Yep.
Essentially.
That's what it's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be about. But it's interesting because, what is her name? Sarah?
Sarah, yeah.
Sarah actually ends up dating the boss. Oh no, she has a meeting with the boss.
She has a meeting. She goes on a dinner meeting.
Yeah.
And it's assumed that she sleeps with him and gets the promotion.
Right.
But she doesn't sleep with him, and nobody believes that she doesn't sleep with him. Including her sister.
Right.
So that's like the premise. But what's funny is, like, instead of addressing, I mean, they sort of address the sexual harassment. I guess they just talk about it. They don't really, like, address it like, it's bad, get fired.
Well, here's the quote. She's like, stop it. I can handle Barry Wolf. Barry Wolf's the boss. I can handle Barry Wolf with one hand behind my back. And Lydia says, from what I heard, that's the way he likes it. It's like, okay, 1980.
Right. So they talk a lot about this, and they don't really talk about it like we should do something about it.
Right. It's just like, it's a thing.
It's just a thing.
That's how it is.
And it's your fault, Sarah, for going out with him.
Yeah.
Like, it's very, like,
blaming the victim. Completely.
Huge.
Yep. And I brought this up because I was like, oh, it's about sexual harassment. Let's see how they handle it. And they really don't handle it.
They don't handle it at all. The biggest conversation is, you know, not believing Sarah when Sarah's saying that she didn't sleep with the boss. And Jackie's mad at her too. And now Sarah's mad at Jackie because she doesn't believe her. And Jackie's mad at Sarah because she allegedly slept with the boss to get a promotion. Now, here's the thing that bothers me about that whole argument, and I think that it should have been reworked a little bit. Putting aside the boss should have got fired for sexual harassment and that whole issue to bed, okay? So to speak. I think the bigger problem was Jackie's been working at that bank for years. Sarah shows up and works there one day and gets a promotion. I would think that Jackie would be more upset about that than anything else. And that's never even brought up.
No.
Like, she doesn't even say, but I've been there for years and I didn't get the promotion.
Right.
Like, it's weird that is not even a conversation.
I took that as the context of their sisterhood, because even in the first episode, like, Jackie had accused Sarah of walking through the room in, like,
underwear or something,
or pajamas, and then, like, suddenly, like, her boyfriend wasn't interested in her anymore.
Yeah.
And so that's their thing. Like, Jackie's
that
like,
insecurity
you know, her sister's this blonde, you know, I'll say blonde bombshell, and she's, you know, but Jackie's pretty too, but it's like, she doesn't dress the way Sarah doesn't.
Right.
Sarah plays it up. Lydia does not play it up, and
Jackie.
So I think that's Jackie. I completely agree with you, but I think that was the context. Is like, oh god, here we go again.
Yeah.
Of course, she's blonde. This, you know, and you know, just like, you know, all my dates.
But she wasn't even like, she was actually accusing her of sleeping with her.
I know.
Like, that's a pretty harsh.
Sisters can be rough.
I have 4 sisters. I know.
And
but
how many
none of us have been accused of, like, I would never be like, Renee, you slept with someone. And even if I did and she said she didn't, I'd be like, okay. Like, I'm not going to be like, yes, you did. And maybe, I don't know. It's just weird. It's like a weird.
Well, how many of their boyfriends have you slept with?
2. Was that wrong? But they never knew about it. Just kidding.
And I was only 18. Also, really quick, Lydia Cornell is 26, playing 19.
Yeah.
And Jackie is a year older, playing a year older, or 2 years older. Yeah. So it's all fair. One thing that is a thread through this show, Muriel's relationship, the mom, the wife, Muriel's relationship with prices. She complains about prices a lot, and I thought it was so funny about prices keep going up. She complains about the dry cleaners. What I loved, she walks in the room from the dry cleaners, and the dress that is in the dry cleaning bag is the dress she wore in episode 4.
Oh my God,
yep.
I love that. Yep. I love that. I didn't notice it.
And she says, "Oh my gosh, awesome. The prices keep going up." A later episode, she has one giant bag of groceries. She's taking everything out.
I remember this one.
She goes, "Wait, that cost $70?" Like, she put away the groceries in like 3 minutes.
She puts her head in the bag. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. But I will say, the audience loves Muriel.
Yeah.
She lands every joke, and I think there's something she's very relatable.
She is.
And she talks about real world stuff.
Yeah, I really like her a lot. I really liked her a lot too. And it's funny you bring up the money, because it is interesting that the two of them, and I guess, and this is definitely a middle-aged lens looking down on this, but it is interesting that he writes a comic book, and she's a photographer.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems odd that, like those are both hard jobs to make money at. Yes. Do you know what I mean? So, and now they own this building, and I mean, I guess it can work, but I guess it makes more sense now that she's talking so much about money.
That's right, because Rafkin was paying rent. These two, the daughters, in a later episode, he actually says, "Well, if you weren't my daughters, you'd be paying rent on time, or you'd be paying more rent. Or, and then, no.
If the joke
what is it?
The joke was more rent or on time, and then it was like, well, you'd be paying rent. Like, in other words, you never pay it. That was like the joke.
Right. But with Rafkin, they could supplement their income that way. They could afford to be cartoonists and photographers because Rafkin was paying, rent.
But yeah, I thought that was kind of funny.
Can I say something really quick? I do like when Henry has that big moment in the bank about women, whatever. Or is that where he says it, when he's like, women in the workplace? And then, no, someone's standing with him, though. And he says, write that down. I want to use it for Cosmic Cow.
Yeah. Well, he's in the teller. He was in the bank. He was in the bank, and the guy's trying to rob the bank. And he's standing next to him. But I think because he's around a lot of people, he's just like, write that down to like a random person. One big criticism I have of this episode.
Let's hear it.
Sarah, she comes to talk to Ted Knight.
Mm-hmm.
And she's upset and she's crying. She can't cry for shit. She's not a crier.
Mm-hmm.
And they must have known this because they put a fake tear on her cheek. And that fake tear is there from the minute she walks into the place, and she goes, the fake cry, and then it's still there. It's just a shiny little piece. It's not like a teardrop, but it's like a shiny little place on her cheek, and it's there the entire scene.
I didn't notice.
It's horrible.
Oh my God.
You should look at it. It's very noticeable, and you should notice it.
I do have down, and I think Jackie said this, and I wrote, not great acting. No one believed him, but I did. And I wrote, not great acting, a little flat, Jackie. I don't know, it was at the end of the episode. But I did.
Oh, yeah, when he
said he didn't.
When he said he didn't, when he makes the announcement. We made the announcement at the bank. We don't see it.
Yeah.
But he made the announcement, and she said that he swore to a... Oh, yeah. Well, this is the other thing that he said. So he announces it to everybody, and that's when she said, well, nobody believed, but I believed, right?
Yeah.
So, good for you for finally believing your own sister. But then Sarah said, what happened then? And she said, he swore us all to secrecy and sent us home. Which was funny. But yeah, it was kind of like an anticlimactic scene.
Yeah, it was a little weird.
You would have expected more. And I wrote down, it was a weird hug. They must have hugged at the end of it, and it must have been like a weird hug.
Yes. Christina, I remember it.
Do you remember it?
Yeah, it was weird.
It was just like weird.
Very fake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's episode 7. They're still trying to find their footing, I suppose, and some of their chemistry. I did notice a big difference between season 1 and season 2. I don't know if you did, and we can talk about that when we get to season 2.
Okay, so episode 8 is next. I have 2 sentences of notes.
Oh, okay.
Someone makes a comment about a trench coat. I think it's because his boss is visiting.
Mr. Big is visiting, yeah.
Yeah. What's his name?
Oh, the episode is called Mr. Big.
Oh, okay.
His name's Mr. Wainwright.
So he's wearing a trench coat, and someone's like, trench coat, it's 75 degrees today. But yet everyone else in the room is wearing sweaters and sweatshirts.
Oh my gosh, how funny. I didn't notice that. Good observation.
The naked mugger. I don't know why I wrote that note. But those are my only notes on that.
The naked mugger. Well, he mugged her for the tickets.
Right.
Yeah. So he had a trench coat. He opened, he was flashing her, basically.
Yeah.
And then took the ticket. So it must have had something to do with that. I have a few notes. Not much. So I noticed, Muriel's supposed to be like this professional photographer.
Yeah.
She's in the middle of the living room.
Oh, no, I know.
Did you notice that?
I know.
And she's taking a picture of just like this potted plant. I'm like, Muriel.
People don't do that.
No. People see. And if you're a professional photographer, you're not going to be just walking around your living room taking a picture.
Which ties into the intro with the music, where she. Do you remember? So there again, Ted's nights stay the same, but the other ones keep changing in the intro. And
oops, sorry about that.
And she's like touching like a fake potted plant on the mantle.
Yeah.
And she turns around and smiles. I'm like, who would do that?
Like, that's not a thing.
That's not a thing.
No. Maybe for the Love Boat opening, but not for this.
Are you ready to jump to episode 18 or no?
Hold on. No, I had to take a sip.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I had a couple sips. This is where I wrote that Monroe had the Robin Williams Mork vibe, big time. The tie, vest, short sleeve shirt, and then just like those 80s style pants. There was I wrote Monroe is really funny. Yeah. And there's it says he's like, I'm sorry, and then Henry goes, why did you say I'm sorry? I'm sorry. But like on paper this can be so different. Yeah. And I think I really love the actor and how he is doing all of this. One point, Mr. Wainwright, who is very short, this is kind of a visual thing, so I don't know how the listeners are going to hear this, but he's standing up and he's like, ever since I was a little boy, and he put his hand up to the top of his head.
Yes.
So I thought that was really cute. And my last note down here is Sarah is still annoying. Everyone else I like.
Huh.
So she made an impression.
I
have a note about Sarah in almost every episode.
Oh my God,
it's so
funny. I really don't like her.
No, I really didn't. So episode 18.
Episode 18. I wrote this packs a lot in. Losing a job. Then I have painting, Muriel's job opportunity, and the chauffeur. All the chauffeur?
Painting?
Henry's going to start painting because he lost his job. He's going to spend more time painting.
Right. Just like a career change. What was the thing you just said?
So Muriel's job opportunity and all the chauffeur? Does that sound right?
The chauffeur, yeah. So the chauffeur situation.
So it starts off Muriel's unloading groceries. So episode 18 is where she says, is that all I got for $70? Unemployment. So I wrote, too proud to wait in line at the office with people who don't speak English.
Yes. I wrote that. The unemployment. No one speaks English.
And I said, and I think Muriel said, Henry, it's hard for immigrants to find work. And he didn't say it as if it was their fault. He was complaining about the system in general, which I thought was very progressive for 1980.
I agree.
And she's like, and listen, she's like, and Muriel is like, oh, frig. I didn't complete my sentence, but she and Henry are sort of having this conversation back and forth. He's like, I can't go down there. He's like, it's all immigrants. And that's what it is. She goes, it's all immigrants. She's like, listen, it's really hard for immigrants to find work. Mm-hmm. And she's on the calling in to her job opportunity.
Yeah.
And she goes, hi, Mrs. Rodriguez.
Yeah.
And the audience busts out laughing. Sorry, that was a really long way to get there.
No, that's good. It's good.
Let's see. The president calls because of the cosmic cow. So what happens is, I should probably say this, set this up. The cosmic cow, he does a sort of political bent on something.
Yeah.
And it's
Ronald Reagan is the president
that's right.
at this point.
Thank you, yes. But Ronald Reagan. And the Mr. Wainwright does not appreciate this, and he fires Henry.
Well, he wants him to take it back first. So he has like this weird thing.
Your memory is so much better than mine.
It wasn't too long ago that I watched it, but he has this weird thing with the chauffeur, where the chauffeur shows up. Like, I didn't like this part of the show.
They were going for laughs. And
yeah,
it wasn't
just this really tall, large woman in a chauffeur costume or whatever, uniform, stands in the doorway and doesn't speak. So it's not like a normal person.
Right.
Because even if you're a chauffeur, I mean, I guess your boss wants you to act a certain way, but if you're not with the boss and you're just like delivering a message, like, are you really going to stand there with your hands behind your back? Like, it's really kind of dumb. But so she basically gives him a letter. He reads it. He wants him to retract or apologize. And he's like, no, I'm not going to. She gives him another letter. Well, you have to, or you're going to be fired. Well, I'm not going to do it. He gives him another. So it's like a bunch of different letters. Ultimately, he gets fired. So that's like.
It just needs. I think it needs to be faster.
It was. Yeah. It was just. I just didn't like the chauffeur part of it. I thought it was just dumb.
Yeah.
Like, I thought
it was unnecessary. I think they're just going for like some, I don't know, some sight gags, I guess. But I did laugh a little bit at the unemployment office when the woman says, Mr. Rush, and he goes, shush. And she goes, Henry Shush? Is it Mr. Shush? And he's like, Mr. Shush, cute. What kind of name would that be? And she's like, my last name. And she doesn't say it, right? No. She holds up her nameplate, and it's like, Mrs. Sex Hour.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I thought it was funny when they're looking in the ads for jobs, and the ads actually and this is an 80s thing, of course, is they're looking for a male. Like, they actually write down they're looking for a male. Yeah. I thought that was kind of interesting. And one question I had was, at the first episode, one of the, advantages to the girls moving out was Muriel said to him, you can move, you can have your own office. And, in one of the girls' bedrooms, you can have your own office. And he's like, oh, that sounds great. I would love to have my own office. But in episode 18, at the end of the first season, he is still drawing Cosmic Cow in his bedroom. So I thought that was a little bit strange.
Yeah, that is weird.
I don't know. I don't know why they had
why wouldn't you just do that anyway for Cosmic Cow?
Yeah. So
weird.
That was kind of funny. And then I have another Sarah note.
Oh, please.
It's if Sarah has the worst clothing. Have you seen, like, all of her shirts? Like, one of them had, like, all, like, different kinds of hearts on it.
Yes.
And in this particular episode...
Mushrooms.
It was... No, it was, like pig angels. Like, almost like angels that look kind of like pigs.
Like when pigs fly, basically.
Kind of, but I don't think they were supposed to be pigs. They just kind of looked like them. They were, like, that color and...
Do you remember the mushroom shirt?
I don't.
Christina, there's a shirt in season 2. She's wearing a white shirt and there's all these brown mushrooms on it.
Oh my gosh, that's so weird.
Yeah,
just
but
weird.
They're like sciencey mushrooms. They're not like cutesy mushrooms.
So funny.
They're like real mushrooms. Like,
was that
so
fashionable
strange.
then?
I don't know.
I mean, I never had a mushroom shirt.
Fun fact, because you brought up fashion, Henry always wore university shirts.
Yes.
When he started doing that on the show, he thought that was right for the character. Fans of the show started sending... Do you know this already?
I do already.
I didn't know that.
No, I just know it, but you can tell the
listeners. People loved the show, and they were sending him swag from their colleges and universities, and he was wearing them on the show.
Do you know why he originally started wearing them?
No.
Because he didn't graduate from college.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And I don't know, actually, as I'm saying it, I'm not sure if it's the character or Ted Knight.
Oh,
It could be either or. I'll have to do some research on that. But yeah, so he did not graduate from college, one or the other. And then, yeah, it was like people would send in different universities and stuff. But I think he wore a different one every episode.
Wow.
Yeah. But anyway, so we should... Well, I mean, that's all I have for season one. Same. So do you want to take a quick little break and come back
that's a good
for
idea.
season 2?
Yep, let's do that.
All right, we'll be right back. Hey there, it's Brian and Christina. We just wanted to take this break to thank you for listening to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. Please subscribe to Old Roommates on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And give us a rating or review while you're there.
And if you have any questions, comments, or observations, shoot us an email at oldroommatespod@gmail.com. And follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Old Roommates. Thanks for listening, and now, back to the show.
And we're back. Talking about Too Close for Comfort. We just discussed season 1, a few episodes from season 1. And we watched 5 episodes from season 2.
And again, all available on Pluto, which is a free app loaded with classic TV and movies.
Yes. And it gives you, actually, I don't know if you feel this way too, but it really gives you that feeling you're back in the 80s watching TV because it has commercials that you can't fast forward through.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, and it's also done in like a square, like
yeah,
that's
true
what do they call it? Not letterboxed. What is that? Letterbox is when it's horizontal. These are vertical blocks.
The vertical block, yeah vertical block. So yes, it's it's an experience. It's funny. And actually I started getting used to the commercials because I never watch.
What about Hulu?
I don't usually watch Hulu that much, okay. And if I do, that's one of the reasons why I can't stand streaming so much. Yeah. Because of the commercials. Yeah. So most of the time, if it's a TV show, I will actually record it. I have a TiVo box, so I'll record it and then just skip through the commercials. Or it's very rare that I sit through a commercial.
To me, so on Hulu, I do watch with the commercials. I don't, to be honest, it really doesn't bother me that much, but it's just always the same commercials. And
that's the biggest problem. They have 3 commercials that they just
always
do over and over and over and over.
I don't know what I'm doing, but Progressive Insurance, I don't know. They want me back. Because it's all I see are Progressive commercials.
Well, I'm watching Too Close for Comfort, and all I keep seeing is Match.com.
That's weird.
Commercials. So I don't know what I'm doing.
That's really weird. When I watch...
I'm not in the market for that.
I get Progressive Insurance, and I get
Progressive too, actually.
What's the Instacart? That's the other one.
I don't really get Instacart. Isn't that funny? But I was getting used to it, and I'm like, okay, well, great. A lot of times I'll watch it while I'm working out anyway, so I'm kind of forced to watch the commercials. But then when I'm not, I'm like, oh, well, okay, I'll make myself some tea, or I'll go to the bathroom. It's like, oh, yeah, that's why commercials were invented, right? Anyways, so back to...
So season 2, episode 1. Christina, I have a note that you're really going to enjoy.
Oh, boy.
My first note for season 2, episode 1 is, oh my God, what happened to Lydia Cornell? Oh. I thought she was terrible in season 2, acting-wise. I didn't feel that way in season 1. Season 2, there's a line. So it's Muriel's birthday.
Yeah.
And Henry tells the girls that Muriel is depressed. I am going to try and do...
She's depressed because she's turning 42.
Right. But we don't know that yet.
Oh, okay.
So because Lydia has to ask. And here is how Lydia asks. It might be partly visual, but I'm just going to go for it. But Dad, birthdays are a time to celebrate and be happy. Why is Mom depressed? I swear to God, that's how she said it. And you should have seen the way she was saying the lines.
I remember.
Tits first.
Yeah.
And then the neck is all rolling around. What? Who gave her this note? Someone gave her a note.
Someone gave her a note, or she's thinking she's not getting enough attention in season 1. Maybe she's doing something different. It's very strange.
But even her lines are bad. birthdays are a time to celebrate and be happy. I'm like,
I know. That's how I felt during all of that.
With certain voices and inflections.
Yeah.
And my very next note is, oh my God, Monroe is so funny. So it's Muriel's birthday. To cheer her up, they go to take her to this basically pirate themed restaurant, which they didn't know. And I actually really like this episode.
I did too.
Because it's full of surprises. And they're sitting down and they're looking all around. They're taking the restaurant in, and you see a woman in the background. She's a waitress in a pirate outfit, and you see her walking with this big tray, and she's turning the corner, and you hear crash, boom, bang, crash. And out pops Monroe. And he's like, sorry, Shirley.
He's good. He's really, really good. And so he is a series regular
now,
starting on season 2. But you'll notice he's not always in the beginning because some of the episodes were shot out of sequence.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There's a little bit of trivia for you.
Wow.
You're usually the trivia guy. So, Muriel, I loved that. I think they took her there on purpose because of open mic night or something, wasn't it? I feel like there was an intended reason for her to cheer her up there. Because they were all of a sudden they were like, Muriel, come on up and sing.
Oh, wow.
I think
I thought it was a great musical number.
I thought it was too.
She is a 2-time Tony nominee, so she is no stranger to public singing.
Mm-hmm. No, she was great. I really enjoyed that number. I thought it was pretty realistic.
Mm-hmm.
I liked how the band members started coming over and Monroe is playing first, and then he ended up getting a little too much on the piano. I felt a little bit too much, but it was just too.
Well, he falls off the stool.
He falls off the stool. Yeah, he's just a little crazy, but I liked it. I thought it was pretty realistic, and you get the sense that she was a singer, like Muriel was a singer.
Yeah.
So it wasn't Joe Schmo coming up and all of a sudden singing well.
1000%. If she is supposed to sound good, you get this feeling. She is not new to this. And but I also loved what it led to, which is her feeling faint and in fact fainting. And I was like, oh, that was really a smart way.
Yes.
Because she's getting all worked up, she's singing, she's sort of working the crowd, and then she gets all winded and she faints.
Yes.
And I
loved how she fainted when she grabbed the tablecloth and all the dishes stayed on the table.
Oh my God, I missed it because that was the magic trick.
That was a huge part of the bit. You need to rewatch that again.
I didn't catch it.
It was absolutely hilarious because she did it flawlessly, so much so that you didn't even notice.
I guess I really didn't.
So the magician. So it was an open mic night, and the first act was a magician who was terrible, and he's like, "Oh, here's my final thing," and he pulls the tablecloth out from underneath the glasses, and it doesn't work. And then Monroe says he's never been able to do that. So that was kind of funny. And then when she faints, she goes to the table. As she faints, she grabs the tablecloth and whips it and does exactly what the magician was supposed to do. And it was flawless the way she did it, super seamless. And then the magician actually says, everyone's like, are you okay? Are you feeling okay? And then the magician says something like, how did you do that? Or, something on that idea.
Oh, so funny.
So you missed it. I can't believe you missed it. It was so good. She did it really, really well.
Well, so the baby conversation.
Okay, and now there's a baby conversation. Yeah, you find out that she's pregnant.
And I wrote, Henry doesn't want to influence her decision. And he actually says, again, 1981 now, a man... I wrote, a man not wanting to tell a woman what to do with her body. That's amazing. Because he says to her that I don't... he's like, I can't make that decision for you. It's, basically your body, your choice. Yes. I'm not going to tell you what to do. And it was interesting as a husband for him to say that. It was just a little strange. But then it was like... oh my God, did you hear that?
I heard it, yeah.
That's Shorty.
I wonder if anybody else did.
So, but then it becomes it's really really about this conversation is about abortion, but they don't say the word.
They
abortion.
don't say it. I thought it was really interesting that in the 81 or whatever, that they would be talking about considering an abortion.
Yeah,
I thought that was really interesting. Like, I think other sitcoms would have ended with her, "I'm pregnant," and then him like fainting or something, and that would be the end of the episode. Mm-hmm. But this one, they actually had a conversation. It was a short one,
for sure.
There wasn't a lot of conversation about it. I liked the fact that he was like, "It's your body. I don't want to make that decision for you. I don't want to influence you." But then I also appreciated the fact that she was like, "But I need your help in deciding this."
She says, "I don't want you to make the decision for me." Because he said, "I can't make the decision for you." And she's like, "I don't make it for me. I want you to make it with me."
Yes.
And I loved that.
Yes, me too. It was very real.
A really real, likable couple that trusts and respects and loves each other so much, and you feel that they never have stupid fights in these episodes that we watched.
Right.
They don't argue about like superfluous things like this is, and they work together on stuff.
Yes,
so
it's great.
Yeah,
it really is, and I think it worked much better in season 2 than it did in season 1 because there's other things that are going on, and it's not about the two of them fighting, and they do work as a team. And I liked that better in season 2 than I did in season 1. It did get resolved very, very, very quickly.
Yes.
She basically, she says that she wants him to help her decide. He doesn't say anything after that. Mm-hmm. He doesn't help her to decide at all. But then she walks over and she starts saying, "Well, you always wanted that son," and da-da-da-da, like says a couple of things out loud, looks out the window and turns around and says, "Okay, let's have a baby." So like he doesn't actually help her with it. Aside from her, like, speaking out loud.
Well, I think by him saying that he will do what she wants.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what I took away from that. But then that was so quick, because she basically opens the window and this kid's playing outside. And
she's like, okay. Because this is the first time she's seen a child.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought it was interesting that they would even have that conversation.
Yeah.
In any case.
Yeah.
Moving on to episode 3.
Yeah, really quick about that other episode. Like, it's the daughters are talking about it, people are talking about it, and the word abortion is never said, and yet they're truly saying, "Mom, are you really going to have this baby? Mom, isn't it dangerous for you to have this baby?" Like, but they're not saying what the option is. Right. And it's like, it's just interesting. But I appreciated that it was just so openly talked about. In 1980, although they did not say abortion, I wonder if they even... Well, Maude. Did they say abortion in Maude, that episode? Probably. But, yeah, maybe not on ABC.
Maybe. I don't know. That's a good question. We'll have to look that up.
Episode 3. We meet April.
Yes. So, this is not her real introduction. No. I think probably episode 2 is when she was introduced. So, I was a little bit lost as to who she was. I figured it out. I looked it up.
Henry's niece. Who moved to San Francisco to start a songwriting career.
Another one in the arts.
Well, right, and it's another character.
It's another character.
And again, and it kind of supports this theory, because she is manic, she's very crazy, she's very jumpy, very annoying. Mm-hmm. And just some fun facts that she played Dorothy's daughter in season 1 of The Golden Girls. But I just didn't care for her presence very much at all.
And she wasn't on very long.
She was on for the second season.
Yeah. But I didn't, okay.
The whole season.
She was there the whole season? Yeah, I would like to know why. Like, I want to know who decided to bring in this other character and why they brought in that character.
Because they sent the kids downstairs, and Henry and Muriel get along too well. There's no tension. Mm-hmm. Like, because this is my point, no matter what problem they were faced with, they agreed. They 90% of the time, they agreed on the solution. So, they were too sensible. Like, they're not really sitcom. I mean.
Right.
Ted Knight's character, he's a bit more sitcom-y, but Muriel's very level-headed, and she loves her family. There's no tension.
But I don't know that...
April...
But did she? Did she serve that purpose?
If you remember, when they're talking about... So, episode 3, there's a story that the nurse that was working during the time Sarah was born switched babies a lot. She had some problems. And
I remembered this episode, by the way. I remembered this episode.
I did not. But I remember April very vividly. And so Henry and Muriel are like, can you believe this? They can't believe it. It's April that says, oh my God. So wait, Sarah might not be your, like, April was the one that exacerbated the drama. Because Henry and Muriel were like, okay, let's figure this out. No, you need April jumping all around, being like, oh my God, what? Like, it's just like, okay.
She reminded me of Cousin Jerry.
Christina
Facts of Life.
Walsh. That, I thought it was her. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah, because on Pluto, the little screenshot of the episode, it was like, oh my God, it's Jerry Jewell. I wished it was.
It would have been, yeah.
A lot better.
Oh my gosh.
I just didn't like April. And I remember her. And as soon as it started, I was like, oh, I remember this. I remember her.
Yeah. But yeah, so this episode was interesting. I do remember it from a million years ago. I did like Jackie's line, so what's the bad news? That one made me laugh.
Really quick, another Golden Girls reference. Do you remember when this storyline happened on the Golden Girls?
Yes, I do.
Dorothy's, Sophia's friends from Sicily come over and they basically tell her that Dorothy's not her daughter.
Yeah.
It's much more hilarious on the Golden Girls.
Yes.
This one is played a little slightly more serious.
Yes, slightly.
But it's the same thing.
It's the same idea.
The parents come to the door and the mother looks just like Sarah.
Yes, and even the daughter looked like Henry, which was great. I thought that was really funny. But again, another Sarah note.
Oh, God.
Do you know what it's like not to know who you are? It's like having amnesia. And then she runs out and fake cries. It's like, Jesus Christ, I know. So I thought it was really funny that, like, just, Henry really was adamant that Sarah was his daughter, even after meeting the other one. He never even considered it.
Yeah.
He really never even considered it, even though you're talking about the personality traits are different. And, they look alike. And, I mean, come on. If you're like a normal person, you have to at least entertain the fact that it might have happened.
Right.
I understand being loyal. And I think the conversation should have been like, even if you aren't my blood child, you are still my daughter. I think that should have been the message that was never said.
Yeah, not quite said.
Yeah,
no.
It was never really said. It was kind of funny how nobody wanted that child. The other child that's in the jail.
God,
even the kids are like, even the adults, what parents are like.
Well, who would? I mean, she's bad news.
A little bit.
It's a very similar note. It's really nice to see a loving couple like Henry and Muriel. They don't insult or mock each other, which is such a staple now. I feel like almost every sitcom I watch, every comedy TV show, I should say.
Yeah.
Like Modern Family. Do any of those couples like each other? I mean, that's
right.
the
whole. That's
they
the
lie.
whole premise.
They lie to each other. That's the whole thing over and over. And it's like it's nice to see like. It's truly supportive
just working together.
Working through things together.
My one, two notes. One of them was that the whole episode kind of lacked warmth. Like the whole thing kind of lacked warmth. There was just an element of that was missing.
It was pretty flat because it was all about blood tests.
Yeah.
Like suddenly it went from I don't think there's even time to be like Sarah.
I suppose the running out and fake crying might have been the warmth aspect they thought about. And then the other thing was it was surprising to me that Jackie wasn't around for any of this.
No, she was.
No, I mean for when the other parents came, like you would have thought that she would want to kind of meet the other parents and kind of be like a family thing. She's just downstairs.
Well, in more. Wait, which episode is that with when April is like, I'll go. Oh, that's the homeless guy. When April's like, oh, you're looking for so and so. Okay, 1 minute.
I have a note. Yeah,
she goes into the kitchen and never comes back. Oh, she never comes back. I'm like, you left the man in the living room. Like she truly goes in the kitchen and starts cooking a meal. I'm like, is she gonna go back to the kitchen at all?
So we can move on unless you have any other notes about
that was
episode 3. One. So this is episode 6. It goes right into Rafkin's bum. Yeah. Same thing. So so my first note says April lets in a bum off the street and then leaves him alone in the living room. Yeah. That's just not something as a middle-aged woman would do.
My first line is, what the hell did April even do? Wendell asked her to see the woman. April said, I'll go get her. And never came back. And I think it's a mistake.
Yeah, it must
I think it's
be.
a mistake in the script.
It must be.
And I'm so confused. And then I just wrote, April sucks.
Yeah, I did not. You know what? You know what's funny about April? I don't have an opinion of her at all, which is even worse. It's like apathetic.
I don't know what the only thing I think that she brought was the manicness, because Henry and Muriel were not manic. In fact, Jackie's not manic.
Sarah's a little bit manic. She's just dramatic.
She's dramatic.
And, I don't know. It just seems... But honestly, Henry is a little bit manic. He does overreact a little bit to things.
But it's he's like more of like an internal brewing, a slow brew, where April's like just blah blah. Like it's
I just don't think it was necessary.
It's not necessary.
I have really no opinion about her. Like she didn't make any impression on me at all.
Really quick, the guy who plays Wendell the bum also plays Angelo, Uncle Angelo on the Golden Girls.
That's a little
multiple episodes. He's very funny.
And of course, Ted Knight worked with Betty White.
Oh, right, yeah.
On the Mary Tyler Moore Show, so there's a connection there that you haven't mentioned.
Sorry, Christina.
Well, I know how you feel about the Golden Girls. I didn't want to leave this connection unmentioned.
I have a note. Too Close for Comfort seems to always need additional temporary central characters for their plot lines. It was really noticeable in this episode.
Yeah.
It becomes all about this homeless guy, to the point where you go to his house.
Yeah.
It's just weird. Like, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely a different way of telling a story on these sitcoms.
True.
Very different.
Burton, the butler.
Oh, sure.
He's like, it's a very, very long story. Got a minute? I laughed at that.
That's good. Yeah, that was good.
Killing the turkey was pretty funny, and I am an animal lover, but it was just so exaggerated, and the turkey gets away anyway.
And you knew right away that Monroe was going to bring a live turkey. Like, you knew that was going to happen.
I was surprised the audience was so into that, because I'm like, of course he's bringing home a live turkey.
Of course he's bringing home a live turkey. Well, I think this is a Monroe line. Maybe we can talk him into suicide.
Yes. Yeah.
I did like Wendell, and I do have a note that, that's it? I thought you were going to say it wasn't Jewish. Mm-hmm. That was a good line. I like that.
Yeah, again, treating Rafkin's character with respect.
Yes. But the other thing, too, is I kind of question, why did they really need to tell him? I
thought the same exact thing.
Is it really necessary? Yeah. Why?
Let him have that little
let him have that.
He's dead.
If they thought they were going to continue to have a relationship with him or something, or if he was going to find out some other way, that's one thing. But there's no, why would he?
Yeah.
But it was
so
cute.
Strange.
And I like the cute little twist that he was actually rich.
Yeah.
I don't know, it was kind of cute.
The hat reminded me. I had a Freddy Krueger flashback when he pulls up the hat.
See that.
I was like, oh,
and there's
God,
a name inside.
Another crazy hat. That's all I have. You want to go to episode 12?
Yeah. So episode 12. Did I? Oh, okay. I'm like, what happened to episode 16?
Really, not this is a funny line, but Ted Knight really sold it. I think Muriel says, "Oh no. Who says it?" Maybe it's Muriel. She's like, he's probably... So, Henry has a fan.
Yes.
A bit of an obsessed
A super fan. Just
like
super
us. Fan. Yes, we have some super
lots
fans.
of fans.
And it's says he's... Muriel says he's probably... No, it's Sarah, of course. He's probably just a harmless teenager. And Henry says... There's no such thing.
Yeah, he sold that. I actually felt like this was one of the strongest episodes. This was I think was my favorite episode.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I felt like it was really, really strong. I got the chemistry was great, the lines, the comedy. I really liked a lot about this episode.
The chuckling cop when he says, "I haven't seen letters like this since the Zodiac Killer."
Right.
It's really trying to calm the situation. I thought it was pretty good for a sitcom to have this like little suspense, quasi suspenseful moment.
Yeah.
Like with and then when the missing cosmic cow puppet happened, I was like, oh, I don't remember this. But it's treated pretty lightly, so you know that even if it's bad, it's not going to last very long.
Yeah. There's never you never think he's going to get killed or anything. Yeah. I liked how he was like searching the house. I thought he was funny. And again, only Ted Knight can do this.
Physical comedy.
Somebody else searching the house like that, I think, would be stupid and dumb. Mm-hmm. But he really did a great job with it.
Even when he approaches the door,
yeah,
he's like tiptoeing in a very dramatic. it's very, very
He's funny. He's just so funny. I thought it was funny that he is quasi-famous, especially after. Now, this is after the episode with the president and all that.
Yeah.
But he has a listed address.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of
strange.
A little strange. They didn't have to like mention that or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the conversation.
Well, because he's getting fan mail.
Yes.
That's the thing. Yeah.
But he's getting fan mail to like a post office box, and then this particular one came to the house.
That's right.
Yeah, so it was different.
The newspaper.
It was it goes to the newspaper or something.
That's
but
right.
This one actually came to the house, and that was what was different about it. I really loved the conversation with him and Monroe about being protected or whatever. And I think they said something about getting a dog, and then Monroe was like, "You should get a kangaroo."
Yes.
And I loved just the way he thought about it. He's like, kangaroos would be great. They're fast. They prick on their feet. They kick and they punch. And there's a place to hide your jewelry. And then he's like, you're ridiculous. And then he follows up and says, how do you explain the low crime rate way down in Sydney? It was a good dialogue.
Yes.
It was well thought out. I thought it was really funny and I laughed.
I did gag a little bit, Christina, when X is revealed to be a little girl, and that's not what made me nauseous. Right. It's when he takes the puppet out of the bag and starts talking, and she goes, "She's talking!" I'm like, girl, his lips are moving.
You are
too.
watching
It's like they're watching him talk. And I forgot that Cosmic Cow was a woman or a girl.
I forgot that too.
Yeah.
I forgot that too.
Because Henry doesn't make...
Does he have udders or something? Is that why?
No, but...
does she have udders?
I don't know, but Henry doesn't even make like a feminine voice.
No.
It's like, hey, I'm Cosmic Cow. She's talking.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I did, but then it won me back again. It won me over when he tells Monroe to stay.
I know. It made me
and the little
made me
girl
smile.
says, he's like, come on, we'll go see your brother. And she's like, you're a nice man. And he pauses and he looks at Monroe and he's like, come on.
I loved that.
It warmed my heart too.
Heartwarming. It was super heartwarming.
Surprisingly touching, as they say.
Surprisingly touching. Yeah. It was sweet. Because you do have that little, well, that's the thing. Nothing is ever mean-spirited in this show. Other shows, they would have a rivalry between Henry and Monroe, and you would get the feeling that he just super annoys him and really doesn't like him at all, and but here you there's a little bit of riffing, but you get the impression that Henry does like Monroe and understands that he's just a little dumb and he's a little quirky.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, the squirt gun! I laughed both times.
I said Monroe with the squirt gun is really funny. It was it's a stupid squirt gun, but when he's
I know, because
he's squirting out of the kitchen door.
He's squirting it like a cop, he's squirting it like in some horror movie action thriller.
Funny.
Yeah, it's really funny.
It's so dumb, but funny. And I did so many funny jokes. What was it? Oh, so they come home. So this is a little bit of not really a negative, but a little bit of the negative, where Muriel and Henry come home. And they can't find their keys, and then they open the door and it's open. And first of all, why wouldn't they lock the door if they have a stalker coming, right? So that's whatever. But then he says, "Oh, it's a good thing we didn't lock it because they didn't have their keys."
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of all I have. But yeah, the squirt gun was really, really funny.
That's all I have for that one too. And our final episode, right?
Our
of
final
season
episode.
2.
Yep, we did episode 16.
And big surprise, another new character. Who will join... Good,
yeah.
sorry.
No, it's okay. No, I was just going to say the same thing.
Who joins in season 3 for the season.
Audrey Meadows plays Muriel's mom, and this was another really strong episode. I thought.
Jesus Christ! But it was like an you just kept peeling the layers off.
So many
one
layers.
Thing after another.
Yep. And how did you like the fact that we find out that Muriel is adopted?
With 90 seconds left in the episode.
And they never tell her.
No.
So they're going to save that for another day.
Yeah.
But I thought that was weird and crazy that they would do that.
It was so, Christina, I mean, it's a sitcom. It's so weird to introduce something like that and not resolve it.
Yeah.
And also, I couldn't help but wonder, I mean, I wondered if I would even want to know. I actually thought,
at that point in time.
At that point, I am 49 years old. I mean, honestly, if I found out I was adopted, it would explain a lot of things. But I don't even know. I don't know. I just don't know.
It was very strange.
Muriel is 42
years old.
Pregnant. It is the only mother she's ever known. And she's a grown woman with a life and children. And I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a strange thing that they would introduce that. Like, you would expect that to be introduced at another time, like the beginning of an episode.
100%.
And I don't know if it's ever revealed. I don't remember.
I didn't look ahead to see.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
Probably the season 1.
Or what if it's when she's having the baby, she needs a blood transfusion. Mom, can I use your blood? Oh, the blood doesn't match.
I don't know if they're going to have that storyline on Too Close for Comfort.
Excuse me. We have had stalkers. We've had transvestites. We've had, what else have we talked about? Homeless people. We've had sexual harassment. So thank you very much.
And that's just on the 10 episodes that we watched.
Yeah, right. Naked muggers. You know that Monroe gets raped in an episode?
Really?
Monroe gets raped by 2 women. So get this.
Is it dramatic?
It's dramatic because he doesn't want to go forward with it, and Henry pushes him to.
Oh my God!
To pursue and press charges and the whole thing.
Oh my God! Yeah. I don't remember that at all.
Groundbreaking, and because I remember, because I googled, of course, as we usually do, popular episodes of whatever, and that is the one that pops up that people talk about. Like he was raped by 2. I'm not laughing, but it's 2 women.
I think it's funny.
Nope.
Brian.
It's Monroe,
this is
Christina, because I thought it was funny until I read the synopsis, and stop it. Okay, so let's get back to this episode.
Where's a squirt gun now?
Oh my God. So let's get back to this episode.
Yes.
Mother-in-law, she is just so nasty. She is Audrey Meadows from The Honeymooners, and get this, between 1961 and 1981, she served on the board of directors at Continental Airlines.
No way.
She ended up having a big role in the marketing department. She redesigned the outfits of the flight attendants and the customer service representatives in the airport.
Wow.
And she is responsible for a lot of the redesign of Continental Airlines.
That's awesome.
So she actually had a marketing job.
That's amazing. Look at
and then went back to acting.
Well, I love her acting. I didn't know anything about this other side of her. I love her even more now.
Yeah. She's made for a live studio audience. Did you feel that? She's very broad.
Oh, she's 100% Broadway. Yes.
Very effective. Oh no, I said broad. I feel like she's very. I feel like she's very playing. She's playing to an audience. I think it's very Honeymooners.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes. But this is a really smart move on their part. Because, and I wonder moving forward, how many, guests they have after this. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like this is that missing piece of the puzzle that you were talking about. Mm-hmm. Her moving in with them for the season.
Yeah.
That is some tension.
Yeah.
That's not, April, bye-bye. April did nothing. But that is good. I think that between her, negativity and Monroe's think about those two personalities going back and forth. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It's a spectrum.
That's amazing. That was a good call. A good call. I think that's going to be exactly what you're missing. What you're missing.
You're right, because it's like Monroe's like flakiness and her intensity. It's good. She is so good. And
she's amazing.
Yeah, she's really good in this.
She's amazing. I really loved this episode too. I really felt like, especially in season 2, the more I watched, the better these episodes became. Not that I had a problem with season 1. I liked them. Yeah. But it was, it was just sort of a comforting kind of, all right. But I felt like it was like they just sort of gelled more as a cast. I think the casting was stronger as it went forward, aside from April.
I just want to say, too, is that we talk about this a lot when we talk about TV shows, that the first season, they're working out the kinks. And that sometimes, even like with The Love Boat, for example, we did like season 4. So it's like, because it does take a while for the cast to sort of find their groove, for the writers to figure out what they want to say and with these stories. The only thing that rang a little false to me in this episode is that Muriel never told Henry. Like she never, that her mom was coming. And she's like, and then you find out that not only is the mother coming, but it took a lot of planning to get her to come. So it's like, why wouldn't you tell your husband? It wasn't like a slapdash decision.
Yeah, that was a little bit strange, because they do talk about everything else. Yeah. And maybe she just, obviously they never got along, and maybe she was just saving it to the end so that she could spare any drama and all that. So I'll give her the benefit of the doubt.
I like the fight when God, what's her name? Muriel's mother, Iris, says when she calls Henry a loser, and it's like in the middle of a diatribe that she's laying onto Muriel, and when she says loser, the audience gasps, and Muriel's like, Henry is not a loser. And she starts telling her mother off. Yeah. And the mother says, I don't think you realize who you're talking to. And what did she say? It was good, and I should have written it down. Something like, no, I think you finally need to realize who you're talking to. Yeah, and she laid in, and then the mother's like, well, I'm out of here. Yeah, I like that fight. It felt fast for, it's a sitcom. Yeah. But it was like, the dialogue. It was good.
It was right. Good. It felt right. Exactly. Yeah. And it was kind of funny that she moved in downstairs, because I could see a character like that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Doing that.
I laughed out loud. I did laugh out loud at that, because she's like, she storms out. I'm going back to the airport.
She wants to make sure she's around so that they can crawl back to her.
Yeah, right.
Like, she doesn't want to close the door completely.
Yeah, it's so funny.
So that was, pretty funny. What else do I have? Oh, the production actually seemed different to me. Like, the production seemed a little bit more in tune to, like, just more about just the feel of it. The production seemed different. And even, like, the music seemed a little different to me in this particular episode.
Funny.
Like, when Muriel was yelling at Mom, they were like, that music of, like, the pivotal scenes, like, and I didn't hear it in the other episodes, but maybe this was one of the first episodes that they had that drama.
Yeah, maybe.
Right? I don't remember another episode that we watched, at least, that had the drama.
What I really liked was, to that point where things felt different, I felt like there's some continuity, like with Muriel and her sort of being winded, getting up from being, like, because she's pregnant. And there's some things with Henry, too. And sometimes they would reference other things that happened. Like I mentioned with the dress of the dry cleaners. I do think they did a good job of, like, having some continuity, and not just like the April bullshit, but like just stuff and the way they would talk, and they were paying attention to details, which I liked.
Yes,
but I didn't catch the music, much like the magic trick. I have to go back.
But I'm like, the more I'm talking out loud, the more I'm realizing that's probably the first like real dramatic moment.
Yeah,
I mean, there's some little moments, but most of it is played to comedy. Like the Stalker episode is more about comedy, not drama.
True.
So, I mean, even like the sexual harassment one wasn't really dramatic.
Yeah. Right.
So this was really the one,
Well, the season, the pregnancy, like,
even the abortion conversation didn't have like dramatic music about it, because there wasn't really like a cliffhangery kind of thing. It was more just like, let's have a 2-minute conversation and decide.
True. Yeah, because both sensible adults.
That's right.
It just keeps going back to that.
Let's go back to that. So that's
all my notes. I know. So, okay, so then more, better, about the same, worse?
I want to say probably about the same for me. I still liked it. Monroe, I liked probably more.
Same.
I mean, I like, everybody else is about the same for me, but I think I liked Monroe a little bit more.
I agree. I think I liked it a little bit more than before because I appreciated just them trying to tackle, like, conversations and topics and
it was very
being a little
surprising.
ahead of its time. Again, 1980, 81. So, being older now, it's like, wow, it's like I appreciate they were even trying to talk about this.
Yeah.
In many of these episodes. So,
yeah, excellent point.
But yeah, I mean, but to be fair, like, I would not go and sit and watch it.
I probably wouldn't either. Yeah. I mean, honestly, if it wasn't on if it wasn't on Pluto and I didn't have to sit through the commercials, I might look up that Monroe episode you mentioned, or maybe watch a couple with Audrey Meadows in it, and I might do a couple of those, but I don't want to sit through the commercials, to be honest.
I'm going to look up that Monroe episode just so all of us, everyone at home, can watch it too.
Okay. So while you're looking that up, I do have a question for you, if you are interested in answering.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a question for me?
I do. I have an FMK.
Okay, good. All right. So, do you want me to wait? You're like...
No, I want you to ask me. I can do it.
I want you... No, I'm just saying I don't want to disrupt you.
Oh my God, I was trying to help people out.
I know.
The episode is called For Every Man, There's Two Women. That's the name of it. And the season is... Oh, jeez. Come on.
We're waiting, Brian.
I know. One moment, please. Okay, here we go. Don't let me down. It aired July 20th, 1985.
So it must have been the
Season 5. Oh, wow, Christina, suddenly. Oh, wow, you already know.
Well, it started in 80. It's the 5th season. I mean, 85.
Season 5, episode 10. For Every Man, There's Two Women. Everyone should check it out. I don't think I've ever seen this episode.
Maybe we should watch it.
We should probably watch it. It sounds like a very special episode.
It does sound like a nice
All right, season 5, episode 10, and that's the end. And Christina, please, your question.
All right, here's my question for you. Brian, you've fallen on some bad times.
Oh, no.
I am so sorry to say.
Okay.
Carl, the love of your life, has decided to up and leave you.
Oh, okay.
And took everything with him.
Oh.
Yeah, I know.
Even the cat?
Even the cat.
Okay.
Yeah, even the cat. But there is some good news.
Okay.
I was able to locate 3 potential roommates for you.
Oh my gosh, awesome.
And they are all willing to move in tomorrow.
Amazing.
Those are the only...
How many do I need?
You only need 1.
Okay.
Just 1 roommate. Okay. That's all you need.
All right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you can choose between Iris.
Okay.
Monroe.
Okay.
And April.
Oh, jeez.
And unfortunately, there's no one else available in the world.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's tough times.
Oh.
So which one are you living with? And it's a 4-year lease.
I can't believe I'm doing this right now. I can't believe the word I'm about to say.
I can't believe it either. I think I know what you're going to say, but it's not what I would have guessed. I'm going to say what I'm guessing.
Okay, I'm going to say what I'm thinking and feeling.
All right, what are you thinking?
April.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. She's like my least favorite character. But it's because she's innocuous. Like, it's like, she's just going to be manic and weird and doofy and like dramatize every problem in her life. But her problems are so lame. Yeah. So it's like, but Iris would be judging me every 5 seconds.
I knew you wouldn't choose Iris because Iris would be tough to live with.
In Monroe, I would really worry that he would burn the apartment down to the ground.
Yeah, I thought you were going to choose Monroe.
Yeah. He'd be my second.
He's very positive. Now, what if I put Sarah instead of Iris? Instead of April?
I'd pick Sarah.
You would pick Sarah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just couldn't take the chance with Monroe, as nice as he is.
Yeah.
All right, here's my FMK. What would you pick?
I would pick Monroe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would feel like I'd be having to babysit a little bit.
I think he would be fun. Like, he's He's independent.
Would you feel like you'd have to educate him on things?
Maybe. But I think that he would still be kind of fun, too. Like, just to kind of live with... I don't know if I'd hang out with him.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, but just maybe live together.
All right, Christina, FMK.
Okay.
I mean, pickings are slim, so please bear with me.
They are, yes.
Henry, played by Ted Knight.
Okay.
Monroe, played by Jim J. Bullock.
Okay.
And the cop who tries to solve the stalker case.
All right. I'd marry Henry.
Okay.
Oh, did you want to guess what I was going to do first?
I did.
You did already? So, marry Henry. I would probably...
God. But...
F the cop and kill Monroe.
You know what? You're going to burn in hell. No, I for some reason, really thought Monroe was going to be the Mary or the F.
Really?
Because...
I couldn't marry him.
Okay.
That would be too much.
Yeah.
I don't want to hang out with him.
But you kill him. You would live with him. You would live with him, though. He'd be your roommate.
I just don't find him attractive.
Okay.
I mean, that's all it is about.
And Henry, I could see marrying
attraction.
Henry. I could see marrying Henry.
Henry would be a great husband.
He is a great husband.
Yeah, he'd be fine.
So we should say that Ted... did we say that already? That Ted Knight... So Ted Knight was diagnosed with colon cancer in 1977. His cancer returned in 1985. It spread to his bladder and his GI tract. He died in August of 1986, 62 years old. Very sad.
So sad. What a talent he was.
And that, friends, is Too Close for Comfort. And that is it for us and for this episode of Old Roommates. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to Old Roommates on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And give us a rating or review while you're there, please.
If you have an idea for the show or a suggestion or comment, you can email us at oldroommatespod@gmail.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Old Roommates. This is Christina.
And this is Brian.
Thanks again for listening. Until next time.